The Coliseum or Flavian Amphitheater is a large ellipsoid arena but in the 1st century under the Roman emperors of the Flavian dynasty. The arena was used to host spectacular public entertainment events such as gladiator fights, wild animal hunts, and public executions from 80 CE to 404 CE. The admission to the Coliseum was free, but the seating was divided by class. The first tier or the first row is for the elite seating. The second tier is for the middle class. And the third tier or the third row was reserved for the ordinary people. And the highest part of the stadium or the top tier was reserved for women and for the poor. The total capacity of the Coliseum was approximately 45,000 seated and 5,000 standing spectators. The theater was spectacular even from the outside with monumental open arcades on each of the first 3 floors presenting statue-filled arches. The first floor carried by Doric columns, the second Ionic, the third level Corinthian. The top floor had Corinthian pilasters and small rectangular windows. There were no less than 80 entrances. 76 of these were numbered and tickets are sold for each. 2 entrances were used for the gladiators, one of which was known as the Porta Libitina, the Roman goddess of death, and was the door through which the dead were removed from the arena. The other door was the Porta Sanivavaria, through which victors and those allowed to survive the contest left the arena. And the final 2 doors were reserved exclusively for the emperor's use. Although historically tied to the early Etruscan games, which emphasized the rites of death, the shows in the Roman arenas were designed simply to entertain. However, they also demonstrated the wealth and generosity of the emperor and provided an opportunity for ordinary people to actually see their ruler in person. Emperors were usually present even when they had no particular taste for the events, such as Marcus Aurelius. Titus and Claudius were noted for shouting at the gladiators and other members of the crowd, and Commodus himself performed in the arena hundreds of times. However, blood sports and death were the real purpose of the spectacular shows, and an entire profession arose to meet the massive entertainment requirements of the populace. For example, under the Claudius, there were 93 games a year. Spectacles often lasted from dawn till nightfall. The Coliseum was also the scene of many executions during the lunchtime, when the majority of spectators went for lunch, particularly the killing of Christian martyrs, seen as an unacceptable challenge to the authority of pagan Rome and the divinity of the emperor. Christians were thrown to the lions, shot down with arrows, roasted alive, and killed in the myriad or cruelly inventive ways. In 404 CE, with the changing times and taste, the games of the Colosseo were finally abolished by Emperor Honorius, although condemned criminals were still made to fight wild animals for further centuries. Damaged by earthquake in 422 CE, it was repaired by the emperors Theodosius II and Valentinian III. Repairs were also made in 467, 472, and 508 CE. The venue continued to be used for wrestling matches and animal hunts up to the 6th century CE, but the building began to show signs of neglect and grass was left to grow in the arena. The great earthquake of 1231 CE caused the collapse of the southwest facade, and the Colosseum became a vast source of building material. Stones and columns were removed, iron clamps holding blocks together were stolen, and statues were melted for lime. But despite this crumbling away, though the venue was still used for the occasional religious procession and play during the 15th century CE,